Then Xian turned around and dialed Jing Chen's phone number, putting on a look of flattery. When Jing Chen received Xian's report on Qin Ran's situation, it can be confirmed that this is a case of spiritual pollution incident. Immediately mobilize a 3-person team. Move to rendezvous with Xian. Considering that this is Xian's first command mission, Jing Chen will be behind the scenes helping him lead. Money lover Xian also wants to address the issue of compensation. Jing Chen has already hung up the phone on the other end. A team of 3 people quickly drove to Xian's location. The leader is a squad captain named Cheng Hui. Stand straight in front of Xian. I have come to meet Mr. Xian on the orders of Colonel Chen. Cheng Hui handed a communication device headset to Xian. The headset made a sound as soon as it was put on, followed by an electronic connection prompt. The next sound that came up was a soft, sweet voice. Hello, Mr. Xian. Information Analysis Team member Han Bing is here to provide information support for you. From the report provided by Mr. Xian, this may be a new type of spiritual pollution event. Han Bing gives 2 suggestions. Identify the source of pollution, and then clean it up or imprison Qin Ran. Collect clues after the contaminated individuals arrive. Even when necessary, you can choose to send Qin Ran to the other party to cut off their logical chain. Xian was obviously surprised. Sending Qin Ran to the Avenger to be killed. This is also an option? At this time, the earphone suddenly rang with the voice of Jing Chen. She detailedly helped Xian explain the mode of the information analysis team. Even teaching Xian that sometimes it is okay to first meet the needs of the pollution sources is also a good way to weaken the pollution sources. However, at present, there is insufficient information about this pollution incident. It is not accepted for now. According to the current data analysis, those deceased individuals did not know each other, but they were all contaminated. This indicates that their routes must have intersected during their lifetime. Han Bing has reached a conclusion at this moment. The point where they intersected may be the source of the contamination incident. It is recommended to investigate the routes of those deceased individuals during their lifetime. But Xian feels that conducting individual investigations will take too long. Tomorrow will be the 8th day. According to the previous pattern, it is very likely that more people will get infected. Jing Chen also agrees with Xian's opinion. After all, dealing with spiritual pollution sources, efficiency is crucial. The method proposed by Han Bing takes too long. During this time, the pollution source may mutate again. In the end, Jing Chen decided to narrow down the analysis, targeting the first contaminated person, Cui Wang, and investigating his movements before his death. Under the orderly allocation of Jing Chen, all departments act swiftly and begin to take action. A few hours later, Han Bing reported to the action team. They found 4 target locations. Just received the exclusion report. No abnormalities were found at the first 3 locations. We are left with the last investigation location, the pond at the edge of the city's south. Soon, Xian, along with the Chenghui team, quickly drove to the south pond. Xian felt something was wrong as soon as she got out of the car. 17 had not shown up all night, but here she was unusually excited, happily calling for her brother to come quickly, saying there was something fun here. Xian was very familiar with 17. Her child's sense of aesthetics had always been different from others. Watching 17 staring intently at the lake, Xian quickly asked if there was something in the lake. 17 replied that she didn't know, but felt it was something fun to play with for a long time. Xian asked if 17 could use her powers in the water. 17, at this moment, could hardly contain her excitement and replied that she had never tried but wanted to give it a shot. With a smile, the unpredictable nature of life and death. Seeing 17's excited look, Xian knew there must be something suspicious under the pond. The Chenghui team used mental detection devices to scan the shore, but found no residual spirits. These high-tech devices were just introduced to Xian by Jing Chen. But what puzzles Xian is, the younger sister is squatting nearby. But there is no response from these devices. She can't really be a split from me, right? Chung Hui came to report on the situation of the investigation. Currently, only the lake bottom has not been inspected. The problem now is that their protective suits are not waterproof. It would be very dangerous for them to approach the source of contamination without their protective suits on. Xian smiled and told them to wait here. He went down first to take a look. Seeing Xian warming up, Chung Hui was suddenly surprised. He realized that Xian was going to dive into the water. After confirming with Han Bing again, Jing Chen made sure that this lake was the last suspicious location remaining. At this moment, Xian was determined to perform well. Suddenly, a voice message from Jing Chen came through her earphones, expressing concerns about the dangerous underwater operation. Jing Chen, who cared especially for Xian, did not want Xian to take any risks. She immediately called for the special support team, requesting them to arrive on the scene within half an hour. She resolutely stated to drain the lake water and conduct a direct inspection. In less than half an hour, a fleet of heavy trucks arrived on the scene. A group of team members in protective gear swiftly extended the pump pipes into the lake and began pumping water out at a rapid pace. It must be said that this scene directly astonished both Lu Xing and Qin Ran. Jing Chen has always followed these two principles. If it can be solved with physical strength, then use physical strength. If it can be covered with firepower, then cover it with firepower. The water level is visibly dropping at a speed that can be seen with the naked eye. In no time, the lake water is drained. All support teams quickly retreat from the scene. As the contagiousness of the pollution source has not been confirmed yet, the scene is still left to Xian and a few others to survey. Watching rows of armed personnel blockading in the distance, Xian can tell that if he and the investigation team are contaminated, they will not hesitate to shoot them without mercy. 17 ran happily and quickly in the mud. Suddenly stopped. Raised hand pointing to the center of the lake and asked his brother to look quickly. When they approached Xian, the monitoring instrument sounded a strong reaction. At the same time, there was also an extremely subtle sound ringing around. In an instant, Xian and the others all suddenly stopped their steps. The hair stood up on their bodies in an instant. That voice kept calling out. Qin Ran. You killed me. I want you to pay with your life. Follow the direction of the sound and explore. The crucian carp at the bottom of the lake are all opening their mouths. A faint voice can be heard saying, Qin Ran is hurting me. Qin Ran is hurting me. More and more fish on the lake surface start to open their mouths. The voices all stacked together become louder and louder. All the fish are screaming desperately. Deafening screams. It makes people feel like their head is going to split. Not good. It's a pollution source. Red moon now. A breathtaking scene suddenly appeared before my eyes. Almost too late for Xian and them to react. A wave of red water suddenly exploded from the bottom of the lake, carrying blood and fish scraps. Rushing towards Xian and others at high speed. Members of the Spiritual Pollution organization appeared, and the brother and sister teamed up once again. Just as Xian and the others found the source of pollution. Suddenly, a huge wave erupted from the bottom of the lake. It surged towards Xian and the others. The few people who didn't have time to react were knocked away by this force. Several crimson shadows emerged from the bottom of the lake under the red moon. In an instant, Chung Hui and the other two were wrapped up in midair. The three suddenly floated in the sky, making the soldiers responsible for sealing off the area in the distance feel eerie and terrified. Only Xian could see the scene. At this moment, another shadow swiftly rushed towards Xian, opening its arms as if to give Xian a hug. The speed was so fast that Xian could hardly dodge. Suddenly, a cold little hand reached silently towards him. Xian's pupils suddenly changed drastically. His expression instantly became eerie. Haha, too slow. Xian's speed suddenly became as fast as the wind. 17 is right behind. Brother, I'll help you. Can't catch Xian's shadows. Just release your anger on Chung Hui and the others. The red shadows tightly entwined their limbs. At this moment, Han Bing's urgent voice came through the earphones. It's a psychic attack, confirming a super-level psychic monster. Danger level raised to high. After listening, Jing Chen shouted loudly, "Quickly retreat, Xian!" Meanwhile, Cheng Hui and the other two were being driven by an invisible force. They raised the guns in their hands and aimed at Xian. Facing the uncontrollable body, Cheng Hui shouted in difficulty, "Get out of the way fast!" The dense bullets poured down like a torrential rain. Xian relied on agile speed and stylish footwork to easily dodge all the bullets. He found a hill as a cover and crouched down because he couldn't see those shadows. Han Bing believed that the three members of the investigation team had been infected and suggested covering them with firepower to eliminate the spiritual monsters. Jing Chen immediately agreed and instructed Han Bing to prepare the helicopter. She is rushing to the scene. At the same time, she requested Xian to withdraw immediately, ordering everyone to retreat 500 meters. However, Xian remained expressionless and said he couldn't leave. The three soldiers from the investigative team were not infected. They were just being controlled. Xian has already made the decision that he cannot escape. "I will go solve this monster," Jing Chen insisted loudly after listening, and dissuasion is impossible. "Danger?" 17 happily squatted down beside him. "Brother, I'll accompany you." Xian nodded with his eyes closed towards his younger sister. With a whoosh, Crimson eyes suddenly opened wide. He dashed towards the source of pollution at a speed difficult to capture with the naked eye. When the red moon shrouds the world, he is the only fear under the crimson red moon. Facing the urgent retreat order from the superior Jing Chen, Xian, on the other hand, quietly closed his eyes. After saying, "Leave the monster to me to handle," Crimson eyes suddenly opened. The excitement for killing made him rush forward quickly. Cheng Hui and the others, controlled by the shadows, watched as Xian, with a gun in hand, uncontrollably fired wildly at them. The dense bullets brushed past Xian. His figure was so fast it appeared blurry, like a ghost. "Ha ha, too slow. Too slow. Really too slow." Red Moon leaped up and shot straight into the air. An investigator looked at Xian's hair-raising appearance. Thought Xian was coming to kill him. Fear took over the investigator's heart. He screamed, "Don't kill me!" Xian was actually grabbing the neck of the shadow behind him. Just a light wave. The sturdy and powerful shadow now felt as fragile as paper, being forcibly torn in half by Xian. The investigator suddenly felt a severe sense of weightlessness. Xian used his falling body as a springboard. With a swoosh, he sprinted towards the other members of the investigation team. In an instant, he tore open all the bindings wrapped around them. Han Bing and others watched the surveillance footage, shocked by Xian's ghostly and frenzied movements. The source of pollution can instantly lift the three people into the air and control them. This indicates an extremely strong infectious power. And Xian actually dared to rush towards the psychic monster directly in the face of bullets. This makes Han Bing feel that he is very crazy and very dangerous. What surprised them even more is the scene in front of them. The members of the three investigation teams, after being rescued by Xian, chose to retreat quickly. This indicates that what Xian said before was correct. They most likely were not infected. Jing Chen was surprised and delighted after listening. Order Xian to retreat immediately with the investigation team. But the next moment, she was stunned. Watch Xian's movements on the screen. Jing Chen's eyes were wide with surprise. What is he going to do? "Haha, now it's your turn." Xian relentlessly chased forward. His target is precisely the source of pollution in the center of the lake. The siblings stared eagerly at the center of the lake. "This is it. Ha ha." The center of the lake suddenly bubbled up with a gurgling sound. The next second, a huge black shadow exploded at the bottom of the lake. And at a speed visible to the naked eye, it rapidly expanded around. In the blink of an eye, a tree full of countless human-shaped fruits stood majestically in the field, all eyes glaring at the place where Xian was. Groups of shadows pounced from midair, wanting to give Xian a loving hug. Haha looked at the shadows opening their arms towards him in the sky. Xian couldn't help but exclaim, "So warm and inviting!" He also responded at the same time. He eagerly pounced towards the dark shadow. At this moment, his demeanor was like that of a younger sister pouncing towards a toy. The radiant red moon in the sky became increasingly intense. The people around faintly saw a blurry scene, as if there was a large tree hanging with countless human-shaped fruits. Everyone present was terrified. What is that? A large tree covered with human-shaped fruits suddenly emerged from the ground. Countless human-shaped shadows simultaneously faced Xian, launching an attack. However, Xian remained completely calm. What replaced it was boundless excitement, at a speed beyond what humans can achieve, shuttling back and forth in the field, a terrifying source of pollution in the eyes of others. At this moment, it's like a plaything for Xian. The tree releases the attack methods of these shadows. Xian has a familiar feeling, but didn't think much of it. Xian once again gives his body to his younger sister to control the battle. Watching Xian Jingchen on the screen, she knows he is cleaning up the source of pollution in his own way. Based on the current analysis of various information, Han Bing determined that the target is a superclass spiritual pollution source. It should not have reached the level of the second class yet, despite having a certain degree of autonomy. But extracting lake water for testing did not stimulate it. From this, it can be seen that its level of autonomy is not very high. However, this contradicts why it keeps staring at Qin Ren if its autonomy is not high. Jing Chen believes that it was Qin Ren being avenged by someone that led to this pollution incident. Therefore, as the first avenger, Cui Wang is the core key. To say that, you need to find the body of Cui Wang. Only then can you truly resolve this pollution incident. But this is just their understanding of the process. Sometimes it's not absolute. Perhaps it can be directly resolved through Xian's approach. Xian is getting more and more excited. This speed is still not fast enough. Can't catch my words? The one who dies will be you. Originally covered with dense humanoid fruits, now torn to pieces cleanly. 17 jumped onto the vines and took a big bite. Xian couldn't stop her, worried that she would have diarrhea from eating randomly. I saw her grabbing the vine with both of her small hands. Doesn't she just want to eat? She bit down hard and immediately started eating, devouring mouthful by mouthful along with 17. The vines seemed to be starting to feel fear. All the vines were trembling violently, shaking as if shivering. With a swoosh, all the vines in the field suddenly retracted, rapidly retreat towards the center of the lake just now. 17 tightly held onto the vine in their hand without letting go. But the vine seemed to have a consciousness, and would rather give it up. It's better than being completely swallowed by this little girl. In less than a moment, that huge tree, it shrank towards the center of the lake at a speed visible to the naked eye. This sudden scene left Xian stunned. But it made 17 grit his teeth in anger. Humph! It's chickened out. Chickened out? Can a spiritual monster chicken out too? So is it over now? Jing Chen immediately called for an excavator to come dig up the contaminated original body. An hour later, they dug up a corpse at the bottom of the lake. When Xian saw that face clearly, how is this possible? The corpse in front of them turned out to be Qin Ran. Then who is the Qin Ran who has been following them by the lake? Seeing Xian and the others looking towards him, Qin Ran also seemed very concerned about the outcome. He asked if they found anything. The members of the investigative team quickly loaded their guns. Seeing this move, Qin Ran suddenly became somewhat cautious. Xian walked up to him and asked, "Who are you?" Qin Ran was somewhat puzzled by the question. "Who am I?" he repeated. "What do you mean by that?" Han Bing and Jing Chen suggested Xian to be straightforward about it. See his reaction. Meanwhile, ordered everyone to be on guard. Xian stared at him directly. If you are Qin Ran, then who is the body we dug up? Qin Ran looked stunned after listening. What body? The body dug out from the bottom of the lake is you. If you were already dead, then who are you now? Qin Ran's pupils suddenly filled with bloodshot veins. He murmured to himself. I am. It's impossible. If you dug me out, then Who am I? Red Moon reflected the silk thread, oppressing the hearts of every investigator. Facing Xian, they closed in step by step. Qin Ran became more panicked. 17 held Xian's hand. Brother, he is very similar to those humanoid fruits. Hearing 17 say this, Xian finally realized. No wonder I felt those shadows looked familiar before. Upon closer inspection, I found that all those shadows look a lot like Qin Ran. At this moment, Qin Ran's spirit began to verge on collapse. Suddenly, she madly rushed towards the wall. It's fake. All fake. You want to harm me. Watching Qin Ran's bizarre movements and running speed, she didn't seem like a normal person at all. Oops. He is about to climb over the wall to escape. Jing Chen quickly ordered to capture him. But obviously it was too late. They decisively opened fire on Qin Ran. With a loud thud, the sprinting figure fell to the ground. Strangely, his body rapidly dried up at a visible speed. Han Bing's scalp tingled as he witnessed this scene. He turned into Chui Wang. Support group. Put the bodies of Qin Ran and Chui Wang into the crystal coffin. Detect if there are any residual spirits here. Xian sits obediently by the lake, covered in a blanket, watching. The sound of propellers suddenly came from the sky. Jing Chen slowly walked out of the cabin. She came to Xian's side. No matter what, the cleaning task this time has been completed. It seemed that she thought of something, and deliberately added, I will apply for a special bonus for you. This subtle sentence brought a warm surge to Xian's heart. Jing Chen noticed that Xian still seemed puzzled. It was explained that this matter will be analyzed and investigated by a specialist. In past incidents that have been dealt with, there are often inexplicable things. However, as long as some clues are grasped, the logic behind most of them can be found. Jing Chen looked at the Xian investigation team. They have already reported to him the whole course of the matter. Did you hear the fish talking? Xian nodded. Those fish kept shouting, Qin Ran harmed me. Kill him and pay for his life. Jing Chen believed that this was an illusion caused by the influence of the pollution source. Fish do not speak because she did not hear it in the channel. After speaking, she took Xian to the guard hall in Satellite City. They arrived at a quiet meeting room. Jing Chen asked him to rest for a while first. 17 curiously took a bite of the chocolate placed on the table, chewing away. Suddenly, as if discovering a new continent, she happily continued to eat, hugging all the chocolates and candies to her chest. So delicious. Big brother, I like this. After a while, the sound of the meeting room door opening could be heard. Xian quickly tidied up the zero food packaging paper on the table. Feeling a bit embarrassed, Jing Chen looked at the candy wrapper in her hand, not sure where to throw it. She couldn't help but speculate if she likes sweets or craves them after using power. She quietly noted this in her heart. After a thorough investigation, no residual spiritual power was detected in the lake. In other words, the spiritual pollution incident can be declared a success. Although there are still many doubts. But at least for now, no one else will be harmed. Jing Chen looked at Xian, who was now a bit strange, and to him, who dealt with that super-level spiritual monster. Are they really the same person? Immediately discuss this cleanup work with Xian. Usually, the logical chain and core key of the pollution source are targeted for cleanup. But this time, those 2 points were not found, yet the problem was still resolved. So do you have some hidden power? Otherwise, how could you solve it single-handedly? A pollution source with a mental level close to 200 units? Jing Chen focused intently on Xian, thinking that he still had hidden power. Based on the previous test results, you belong to the spider power category and are rated as C level. Your mental level is around 100 units. However, compared to contaminants, mental mutants of the same level often have slightly lower mental levels. But you can directly solve contaminants. The coffee shop and the incident with Qin Ren were both like this before. This approach is very direct and violent. But it's not common. Xian understood Jing Chen's meaning. Honestly, of these two sources of pollution, both were resolved by his younger sister. Pick up the candy wrapper from earlier. This is the one that the younger sister ate. Jing Chen suddenly opened her eyes wide and asked, "Where is she now?" Xian pointed to Jing Chen's head. "She is right above you, smiling down at you." Although it's not the first time Jing Chen heard about Xian having a younger sister, it still gives Jing Chen goosebumps. She glanced at the top of her head. Clearly, there was nothing there. What Jing Chen was even more curious about was how Xian had determined which 3 members of the investigative team had not been infected yet. When I heard that Xian had seen it with his own eyes, Jing Chen looked puzzled. "I can see what those monsters look like. So I know the 3 of them are just being bound, not part of the monsters. My sister was able to help me deal with that monster at the time because I could see it. Although the monster was very scary, it was okay as long as I avoided its attacks." Jing Chen listened thoughtfully and praised Xian for doing well this time. He asked Xian to go back and rest first. The follow-up investigation will be communicated to him later. Xian stood up, but he didn't seem to have the intention to leave immediately. He, who is obsessed with money, actually wants to inquire about the reward. Jing Chen was stunned for a moment after hearing that. He smiled and said he would transfer the money to his account soon. Xian finally relaxed and walked towards the door. 17 is holding Xian's hand at this time. "Brother, just now, there were many people in the room looking at you with unkind intentions. And that woman with the deformed chest was trying to manipulate you." Xian raised his index finger to his lips. He signaled 17 to stop talking. After all, they paid for it. Jing Chen, sitting in the meeting room, had a complicated mood. Xian can directly see the source of pollution. She didn't know this before. The more diverse his power, the higher the risk of losing control. She gently pressed a button. Instantly, faint blue figures appeared in the conference room. A figure in a white coat began to assess Xian, suspecting that he inherently possesses a very high mental magnitude. The initial assessment suggests that he has likely reached over 300. However, a middle-aged man interrupted the analysis and started talking about recruitment, mentioning the use of a mutant with such a high risk of losing control. Is this in compliance with regulations? Jing Chen was immediately unhappy upon hearing this. What's not in compliance with regulations? His performance today has been very good. The middle-aged man, however, was relentless. Everyone could see that his mental state was not normal. He even displayed signs of severe schizophrenia and multiple personality disorders. Have you ever considered the harm such a person could cause if they lose control? These opposing words seemed to be nothing new to Jing Chen. He straightforwardly asked the middle-aged man what he wanted. For someone like Xian, the middle-aged man expressed that he would rather keep supporting him financially and not want him to be exposed to too many spiritual pollution incidents. He considers Xian to be a very unstable patient. Jing Chen immediately opposed what you call surveillance and expulsion. Have you ever thought about the possibility of angering him by doing this, leading to a loss of control? Who will bear that risk? Just as they were arguing with each other, a figure appeared in the main seat of the meeting room. Professor Bai knew they were discussing Xian and immediately sent out an important report. Let everyone in the room take a look. 3 days later, Xian received a call from Han Bing. As the information analysis team, after dealing with each spiritual pollution source event, we will report the handling methods and analysis results. Mr. Xian made a great contribution in this pollution cleanup worker incident. A reward of 30,000 yuan has been transferred to your account. In addition, Madam Jing Chen also sought approval from superiors. Duowei has applied for 6,000 yuan for you. In addition to the remuneration, Colonel Chen has arranged a comprehensive examination for you. What examination? Xian asked, looking puzzled. Han Bing then explained. It's a comprehensive evaluation of his condition and power before the formal recruitment. It's customary to have this kind of examination. Formal recruitment? Xian obviously hasn't reacted yet. It took a while for Xian to realize that this is about being converted to a regular employee in advance. The salary doubled. A look of relief and joy appeared on their face. For the special pollution source incident involving Qin Ran, the research department has not yet reached a specific conclusion. It can only be transported to a special containment center for storage. Ensure that this pollution incident will not happen again. After listening to Han Bing's report, Xian hung up the phone. Looking at the already transferred reward of 36,000, joy that was hard to conceal appeared on his face. And he is about to be promoted soon. The days ahead are becoming more hopeful. He walked downstairs with a relaxed pace. His little sister was squatting on the street lamp downstairs, shouting for her brother to come home from work. But just at this moment, a sharp dagger suddenly shot out from a corner, surprising Xian, who couldn't dodge in time. 17 leaped down from the lamppost with a bang, faster than anyone could have anticipated. In an instant, it's about to strike Xian. 17 moved at lightning speed. In a flash, the item was grasped in their hand. Who is it? Xian looked around vigilantly. At this moment, a voice suddenly came from behind. Ha. Indeed, as expected from someone of the same series as me, your reaction is still very quick. Only saw a young man in a trench coat and sunglasses standing on the wall. He walked towards Xian step by step with a smile on his face. And he clarified that he just wanted to test Xian just now. Then he reached out to introduce himself to Xian. I am Colonel Gecko Chen, and Spider asked me to come here. Xian frowned as he looked at Gecko extending his hand. Do you know that this is very dangerous? Dangerous? Gecko sounded puzzled. Do you really think this level of attack is dangerous for us spiders? Clearly, Gecko did not understand Xian's meaning. The sister on the side had long had a cold look in her eyes, staring at him maliciously. She asked Xian if he needed her to take action. At the same time, Dad and Mom also appeared at the window. They stared straight at the ground, as if ready to take action at any moment. This scene was all captured by Xian. He felt somewhat comforted. It had been a long time since he had seen his family work together so harmoniously. He quickly dragged the gecko away. What I said was dangerous, is you are very dangerous.